This video will cover the very basics of the software Graphpad Prism. First, I suggest you to go to a site called graphpad.com and you can see that the latest version is number 8 and you can try for free a fully functional version for 30 days. And if you are interested, you may purchase the software as well. As you know, Microsoft Excel is also a paid software and Graphpad Prism 8 is also a paid software. This is really good for biologists to perform a lot of analysis as well as to generate publication quality graphs as well as to perform the statistical analysis. So let us open the Graphpad Prism 8. There are several versions of it. 8 seems to be the latest version as of this recording. So once you open the software, it will present you an option window. This is very different from the usual spreadsheet applications like Microsoft Excel. So Microsoft Excel will give you a blank spreadsheet where you can work on it. You can enter the data whatever way you would like to do. But in the case of Graphpad Prism, it will ask you a specific table. So there are several types of table and each table will have a graph as well. So new table and graph. So easiest one is the column. So if you're interested to see like boys and girls marks in a class or control and treatment, the column is really good, the table that you would like to work with. So first is column, second is XY scatter plot. This is really good if you're interested to work with, for example, the correlation or regression, or if you just want to get an XY scatter, this is the table that you would like to work with. So first of all, these are all tables. Okay, this is not the spreadsheet application at all. These are all tables that the Graphpad Prism is going to do. Now this is grouped. Grouped means, as you can see on the top, group variables have two grouping variables, one defined by the columns and the other defined by the rows. So for example, male and female with each having subset control and treated, and your table would look like this: control treated with males and female. So if you want this kind of data, then you can generate a grouped variable. So all you have to do is you have to click create to create the so-called the table. Let us also inspect other kinds of tables. Another is contingency, which I have already described, told you about. Contingency table is two-way, so there will be two rows and two columns. So this is really good for epidemiological studies like case control, prospective studies as well as retrospective studies. And if you are interested to calculate the risk as well as specificity, for the diagnostic test, so contingency table is really good. And survival, which we haven't described, but if your data is more or less epidemiological, you can go for that. Parts of the whole is for creating this sort of pie chart, as well as if your data is like the population genetics, for example, that of a Mendelian dihybrid crows, so you would like to work with these parts of the whole. And multiple variable, as you can see here, this is variable A, B, C, and so on and so forth. So this is really good if you're interested to do multiple regression or logistic regression, if you have a lot of variables in it. And this is the last one, is nested. So the thing is that another very important feature of this Graphpad Prism is that you can either enter or you can start with a sample data to follow the tutorial. As you see, the column is really good if you are having groups, so two group or three groups, and the test concerned with that two groups, for example the t tests, or the three group, for example ANOVA. So there are actually several examples that will teach you how to perform these tests or how to generate good graph just by clicking on these examples, so that you can learn the software by yourself. So it is really convenient way to start the things. So let us now start with the column. So another thing is, let us go to the XY and see the kinds of sample data. As you can see, correlation, sample, linear regression in compared to slopes, and dose response in pharmacology. All these are example data sheets are already available that you can click to create and see it. Let us go to the column and let us enter or import the data. So what kind of data would you like to enter? Enter replicate values. So these are the replicate values, 1, 2, 3, 4 for each control and treater. or enter paired or repeated measures. So repeated measures is important if you're interested to do, for example, the matched or paired t-test, or the ANOVA, which is repeated measures ANOVA, RM ANOVA. So for that, you would like to go for the repeated measures data. Or if you already have mean, standard deviation, and calculate somewhere else, for example, if you have the dihybrid cross data of Mendel, which is nothing but a frequency distribution table, so you would like to go with this sort of option: mean, standard deviation, and n. Or you can change that, whatever the data that you have it, then you can create it. Now let us go with the simple replicate values and column. This is the first option coming up. Let us create it. So it will be presented with a table. As you see, this is a table. This is not a spreadsheet. There is no way to enter any formula. And of course, there is no way to copy the formula to elsewhere. This is just a table. So here we'll have to see that group A and group B. Let us see a way to fill up all this with a random uh, the random number generation. How to do that, I will teach you how to do that. It's very simple. All we have to do is to analyze. So analyze is for the statistical analysis, while this is new, and graph is to create the graph. So these two options are very important. Let us click on analysis, analyze, and then I go on the left panel, uh, bottom, the second last is simulated data. I click here simulated column data and click OK. It will ask you how many data set you would like to. So you can go with 2 or 3. So if you would like to do a ANOVA, probably you will go with 3, or if you are interested just two data sets, that is nothing but 2 columns. Data sets are arranged column wise. So I will go with 2. And how many number of rows? Let us go with 500 number of rows, and the column mean is, let us say, 45 for girls. So this is a column title that will come up here, and another 500 data points. The mean is 30 for boys. Let this be the marks. All right, and now let us go add some random variation as well. The Gaussian scatter with standard deviation, let us say 6 is a standard deviation. Now the moment you click OK, this is the data. Now the results and the graph, all three things will come up now. Okay, info, don't worry about this info, this is project info. So now we have got the results in simulated data. So as you can see that girls and boys, lots of numbers have already come up. So all these are generated by pseudo random number generation of this one. So let us copy this entire thing by Control and A, copy, Control C, and then let us put that onto our data table. So we can click on the first cell and paste. So girls and boys, now we have everything here. So now that if you would like to generate a graph of these two things, there is automatic graph. So the moment you click on this graph itself, we will ask you what kind of graph you would like to have it. Mean with standard deviation or 95% CI. Let us go with standard deviation and click on this OK button. So as you can see that the graph is also already presented. So the graph will appear here, results, that is nothing but simulated column data, will appear here, and our data will appear here. So this is in nutshell how to work with the Graphpad Prism software.